Hi. Have you ever found yourself comparing your child to other kids in their reading journey and wondering like where's my child in comparison to this child or my other child or any of those? It's easy to do, but it can actually harm their confidence and slow their progress. In today's video, we're going to explore why every reader's journey is unique and how focusing on your child's growth can unlock their true potential. Hope you stick around.
Welcome to Readers in the Making, the live show where we celebrate the magic of books and the joy of helping kids grow as readers. Whether you're a teacher, a parent, or just someone who loves fostering a deep, lifelong love of reading, you're in the right place. Each week, I will dive into actionable tips, creative strategies, and inspiring stories to help you nurture confident, curious, and excited readers, one page at a time. I'm Trina Debry, your host and biggest cheerleader in the journey of building readers. So grab your coffee, your notebook, or maybe even your favorite book, and let's get ready to inspire the next generation of readers. And hey, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss an episode. Let's dive in.
All right, we're talking about stop the comparison game with readers today, and we're focused on how to stop harmful comparisons, ways to recognize and celebrate your child's strengths, and why focusing on growth and joy rather than benchmarks leads to long-term success. All right, so let's talk about stopping harmful comparisons that erode confidence. It is a really hard thing to do, especially because I feel like the school system is set up that way. They're set up to compare one reader to the next reader. And they have like things like benchmarks and levels and whatever and testing that is a really heavy focus on comparing one reader to the next. But comparing other readers or your child to other readers can make them feel inadequate. It can make them feel frustrated. It leads to anxiety and even a reluctance to read. And I love that Clara just hopped on. I'm going to share this comment. There we go. She tells her students to look at their own growth and that no one else's. And she despises national norm tests for students with special needs as they do not receive their accommodations. I agree. It's like playing a round of golf. Think about this for adults. It's like playing a round of golf. But if you don't give every person their handicap, then they're all just going from zero, and that's not fair. And we know it's not fair in a game of golf. Why can't it be that way for our kids? And I love that you tell your kids to focus on their own growth because it is so important. And when we're constantly comparing kids to other kids, it doesn't make kids feel good. It's like if I'm trying to lose weight and I'm being constantly compared to my very thin neighbor, that would be really hard. And another thing, like if your child overhears things like my child isn't reading as well as their cousin, or they didn't start reading like their younger brother or sister or older brother or sister or any of those kinds of things, these messages send to kids that their efforts are not enough. And we don't want to send kids those messages. So we want to reframe this. We want to explain to kids that reading is not a race. Even if it feels like it in the school system, reading is not a race. Every child progresses at their own time. And we need to emphasize effort over speed or milestones. I'm proud of how hard you worked on that tricky word. I think that you were so smart to figure out that that word meant this. Or I loved that you were reading like you talked. It made the story come to life for me. Any of those kinds of things. We want to avoid comparing siblings. We want to avoid comparing classmates. And instead, we want to focus on individual progress and celebrating their unique journey. If you've heard anything you liked so far, definitely make sure you like this video so that I know that you are wanting to hear more. All right, let's talk about recognizing and celebrating your child's strengths. So focus on what they're good at. What do they do well? Identify and celebrate these strengths. Their love of stories, their ability to remember details, their curiosity about new topics, anything like that. Let's celebrate it. Maybe your child reads slower, but they ask amazing questions about the story. That is a wonderful thing to celebrate. Questions mean that we are trying to understand and learn. It's when we are not asking questions that we're not really thinking deeply. So that's something to definitely celebrate. We want to celebrate the small wins. Celebrate the small wins. I feel like I've been saying that almost every day for the past how many days? 24 days. So if you've heard that before, you're hearing it again. Create rituals to acknowledge progress, possibly like a reading jar every time they ask a question. You're putting in a little piece of paper or a marble or something like that, or they're choosing a new book, in goes a marble, or they figured out a tricky word, in goes a marble. And when they get to the top of that jar, there's some kind of book reward, like they get a new book, or they get to go to the library, or you get to go on a book date, or they get to create a fort in the living room and read under that, or in the classroom, you put up a tent and there's a reading tent. I had a reading tent actually in my classroom. It was so fun. All right. So these are things that you can do to highlight their growth. We want to remember to share things about how far they've come. And remember, when we're used to like celebrating, we get used to feeling like this is a good thing, that what we're doing, our efforts, they matter. If you are finding this interesting and you think, hey, I want to share this with someone I know, then definitely share this video and let other people know that you can find information on helping your kids love reading. Last but not least, we're going to focus on joy and not benchmarks. Success isn't about hitting these arbitrary benchmarks. It's about fostering a love of reading with steady growth. If your child falls in love with one book, that's a win, because joy fuels learning. We want to create that joyful environment. We want to make it as exciting and nurturing and comfortable and safe as possible. And that is one of the things that I love about like figuring out space, even in my classroom, even in my media centers, even in my own house. Like that comfy reading spot is key. All right, so instead of comparisons, let's track our child's progress over time. So maybe even conversations like last month, you were struggling with those 3-syllable words, but now you're reading them easily. That's amazing. Those kind of celebrations are just the thing to get your child to keep going. All right, let's wrap it up. Again, not so you don't miss a thing. Make sure you are subscribed to this channel. I'm going live every day this month of January, but then I'll start going weekly. And also next week, I want to play around with different times to see what might be a better time. I send an email to my TDTL listies, and if you're not on that email, then you want to join my newsletter, and the link is below. And in the newsletter, I send it out every Monday, and I talk about tips and tricks and strategies and book recommendations. So join that by the link below. And and then I'll be going weekly. All right, so let's wrap it up. So we're going to stop harmful comparisons that erode confidence. We're going to recognize and celebrate your child's unique strengths. And we're going to focus on growth and joy instead of benchmarks to foster that lifelong success in reading. Looking for ways to inspire your child with reading? Go ahead and join my newsletter. You can just click right on that link below. All right, a final note. Every reader's journey is unique. Let's celebrate your child's progress and help them discover the magic of reading. You and I together are creating joyful, confident readers in the making, one page at a time. See you next time.